Welcome to this Minecraft tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use your inventory and your crafting grid efficiently. So in this tutorial I'm going to be using both the crafting table and the chest. These are two really important items that I'll quickly show you how to craft. So to make the crafting table, you want to place these wooden planks in the crafting grid. You can use any type of wood planks. I'm using oak ones. And all you have to do is set down the crafting table, hit the use item button. This is right click by default, and you get a larger window where you can craft items. Next I'm going to make a chest. This requires pretty much the same formula, except you place 8 planks in a square and you get a chest. And this lets you access some extra storage space. So, the first thing I want to talk about is how to move items around in your inventory. This is a very intuitive process. Just left click to pick up an item. You can move it around, and then left click again to drop it. You can use this to place it in chests as well. You can also use right click to pick up half of a group of objects. So some objects can be put into the same space, like this is a group of 64 sticks. This is often referred to as a stack. And if you right click it, you'll notice it's split into 2 groups of 32. I can right click it again and split this group into 2 16s, and so on. So this is good for splitting up objects if you need to. Similarly, if you pick something up and instead of dropping it with left click, you drop it with right click, you can drop a single item instead of all the items. So if you ever want to separate a stack of items into its individual components, use right click instead of left click. Now, shift click allows you to quickly move an entire stack of items. So to show how this works, I'm going to go to this chest, and if I hold down the shift key and I click on this stack, it instantly goes up here. If I do that again, it instantly goes back to my inventory. This is really useful if you want to sort a bunch of items into a chest or take a bunch of items out of a chest and you don't want to have to click and click and click, and it can get very boring unless you use shift click. Next are the 1 through 9 keys. At the top of your keyboard you can see a bunch of number keys, and you can actually use these as hotkeys for moving an object to the hotbar, which is this bottom row of your inventory. So suppose I scroll over these iron ingots, I press the 4 key. This moves the ingots to the 4th slot of the hotbar and moves the blocks that were there back over to here. I can do this again. If I move this and press 4, it switches them. So this is useful if you want to put things in a certain position along this hotbar. Next is shift double click. This allows you to quickly move a single type of item. So suppose I want to get all of these bows into this chest. What I do is I pick up another item. You have to be holding another item for this to work. Scroll over any one of these bows, hold down shift, and double click, and you'll see all 4 bows moved into the chest. Next is just double click. So I have these 4 stacks of 24 redstone dust. The largest possible stack you can get is 64. So if I double click this redstone dust, I pick up as much as I can and it leaves the rest on the inventory. So this is really useful if you have a bunch of items scattered about and you want to gather them all together. So there are a few more things I want to talk about. If you press the Q key while scrolling over an item, you can drop the item. You can see it's here in front of me. So it's just like pressing Q when you're out of the inventory screen. You'll notice if you press Q on a stack of items, it'll drop them one by one. But if you hold Control Q, like hold down the Control key and press Q, you can drop them all at once, which is a really useful feature if you want to get rid of a lot of items. You can also distribute items. So let's say I pick up these iron blocks, I hold down the right mouse button, and I click and drag. You'll notice I'm placing one iron block on each space that I scroll over, and the double click comes in handy in regathering all of these. If you left click and drag, you can distribute the items evenly. So you'll notice that it's placing as many items as possible rather than dropping just one in each slot. It's trying to put an equal number into each slot. That's also a very useful feature. For these last couple of commands, you have to be in creative mode, so I'll go into that mode. So in creative mode, you can use as many blocks as you want. You can use any blocks that you could possibly want. So if, for example, if you're looking at an object and you middle click, that means pressing down on your scroll wheel. If you're unable to do this, you can go to the options, click controls, scroll down to the pick block, which is this button 3, and you can change it to anything else you want. I'm going to keep it as button 3. But if you middle click on a block, you can obtain that block. The same works in the inventory screen. So if I middle click this, I can obtain a new stack of it. And you'll always get a stack. So if I middle click this single diamond block, I get another stack of diamond blocks. This is really useful if you have one item and you want just a bunch of them. If you hold down Shift and middle click, so this is a lot like the right click drag and left click drag, you can do this. It basically duplicates the item over all these inventory slots. And so that's really useful if you just want all the items you could possibly desire out of one item. The last thing I wanted to talk about was how to efficiently craft your materials. So all of the tools I've showed you so far work in the crafting grid. So you can right-click and drag like this, and it works. And you can double-click to take everything off the crafting grid, and so on. So when you want to craft tools or armor, you generally want to, well, it's an operation that you perform multiple times, so you want to be as efficient as possible. For example, if I do this, golden pickaxe, golden hoe, golden shovel, I can get all 3 of these really quickly. Or say, if I make this little arrangement, I can grab this golden chest plate, then if I click and drag like this, I can get all the rest of my armor really quickly. So if you make a lot of armor and tools, this is really useful, and you can find your own methods, but you can see that all of the various ways of manipulating your inventory can really come in handy. You definitely don't need to know all of them if you want to do well in Minecraft, but each one can be very useful in its own way. So that's it for this tutorial, and thank you for watching.